called the Guru Stotram. And I do this out of respect for my guru, Swami Chinmayananda. And the second is one of the Shanti mantras from the Upanishads, and it's a blessing on our study together. So we're still in the 8th chapter, correct?
Yeah.
And again, to catch up some of the new people, the idea that we've had under discussion is what happens when a person dies. And Krishna has answered, well, whatever your thought is at the moment of death, that determines where you go. So if your thought is on the devas, you go to the devas. If it's on some worldly thing, you go to that. But if your thought is on me, you go to me. And we talked about how if we take the word God and we add an extra O, G-O-O-D, then we get an understanding of what our God really is. Oh yes, I worship Lord Shiva. But what's important to me is money. What's important to me is power or prestige or a house. Well, that's really what your God is. Where your heart is, you see. And these are the kinds of deep unconscious impressions, the vasanas, that when the body drops away, the physical body, they reside in the subtle body and it impels us into another incarnation. Now, that is one way of understanding this, but a more practical way of understanding it. Esoteric is it's about meditation. So when we talk about dropping the body, we mean dropping our identification with the body. So whatever is the predominant thought in our mind, that's where our attention goes. So here Krishna says, focus it on me. Now, we can look at it dualistically on Krishna out there, Supreme Personality of Godhead. But remember, whatever Krishna says about himself, he's talking about the self in you. And so what he means is in meditation, when we endeavor to let go of all our attachments, all of our identifications, and we've slowed the mind down enough so there's space between the thoughts. And in an auspicious moment, space between the thoughts, with the attentive faculty turned within. See if you can notice, see if you can see. Who am I? And we see that the sense of being a person, this jiva bhavana, is a fake self. It's a phony self. It's Ch.8. It's the shadow of reflection of consciousness. And when it falls, something very real is seen to be there. Oh, I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. Wonderful. There's nothing there. Yet I As Shankara says, Chidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham. I'm of the form of bliss consciousness. I am Shiva or Krishna. I am auspicious. So that, in my view, is what the chapter is really talking about. What verse are we on to start with tonight?
16.
Okay, help us out, please.
Abrahma bhuvana lauka punaravartinorjuna mamu petya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate.
Just a minute. For you, what page? Do you have the orange Gita, or you have a different one?
I have the red one.
Yeah. What page are you on?
573.
573. So you can. I just saw it. Thank you. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead with the English.
Worlds up to the world of Brahmaji are subject to rebirth, O Arjuna. But he who reaches me, O Kaunteya, has no birth.
Yes. So, moksha or liberation here, very different than what we think of in the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. In those religions, the idea is immortality, some sort of immortal existence as an individual. We're going to go to some sort of a heaven, and I'm going to be there with Aunt Mary and Uncle Steve, and the streets are paved with gold, or there's 72 virgins, or various different forms of a paradise. But in Hinduism, in yoga, moksha is freedom from birth. Why? Because as Buddha says, life, the way most of us live it, sucks. Dukkha satya. The truth of suffering. And here Krishna points at why. Because everything in this world is impermanent. Not only that, even if you're getting what you want, you have the law of diminishing return. So there on the coffee table is the candy jar. I want chocolate. I have a chocolate. This is good. I think I'll eat the whole jar. How do you feel? We find that we can develop addictive relationships with just about anything in the world. And the juice that it begins to give is less and less and less. So we repeat it over and over and over. The great 20th century sage, Nisargadatta Maharaj, used to say, worldly enjoyment and suffering are the same thing, like heads and tails of a coin. Can't have one without the other. So yoga posits that freedom, moksha, is freedom from birth. Now, we have two ways to look at this. So we've talked about what I call our spiritual anthropology, our what it is to be a human being. We have a physical nature, a physical body called the Stula Sharira. It's born, it exists for a time, and dies. Then we have a subtle body, a Sukshma Sharira, sometimes also called Antakarana, the inner equipment. In English, you hear the term transmigrating soul. That's what pops out of the physical body, exists for a while, and comes dump back into another physical body. Listen very carefully. You are not your physical body. You are not your subtle body. Subtle body is the senses, prana, the mind, the intellect, the Hankriti, the Karta, the coordinating mechanism, the ego sense. And we could also include the vasanas, the unconscious impressions. Sometimes that's split off in some scriptures to call the karana shadi, the causal body. But I witness the senses. By the way, if you want to know why we put all those in the subtle body, because you run around in a dream in your subtle body. And I can see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, think, all that sort of stuff in a dream, not in the physical body. It's in my subtle body. But I see all the activities in the dream. I know the feelings. I know the thoughts. I even know the rise and the fall of the ego sense. I am not the subtle body. Who am I then? Chidananda Rupaham. Shivoham. Shivoham. I am that empty Chidakasha space of pure awareness. Now we can look at this verse, meaning the cause for rebirth is removed. What causes rebirth? The physical body is essentially an instrument for the garnering of experience, essentially to satisfy desires. I like to use the example, if I'm going to go from Oakland to Hawaii, I can't take a bus, can't take a train. I have to take a boat or I have to take a plane. If, on the other hand, I want to go to Las Vegas, can't take a boat. Got to take a car or a plane or a train. So the physical body that you have this very life, with the family that you were born into, and all the craziness of your life, was impelled by your unconscious tendencies, your vasanas, garnered from many lives. So what we do with yoga is undo that process. Now, another way to look at this verse. Yoga Vasishta's, one of its favorite terms for the self, is Chid Akasha, the space of pure awareness. So let's take a look at glass space and room space. Now we're talking about physical space. When the glass gets old and broken and it breaks, does the space in the glass merge with the room space? Does it?
No.
No. Magic trick here. Room space, glass space. Be focused on the space in the glass. Did I move space? Wait a minute, catch up. No. Space didn't move at all. The glass moved in space. Space didn't move. You go nowhere. You are birthless, changeless, deathless. So at the point of realization, the yogi discovers, oh, I was this miserable creature and now I'm free. I don't have to come back anymore. No. What a fool I was. I thought I was a person. I never have been. I've always been the ground of being. I've always been that space of consciousness. Aham Brahmasmi, the Upanishad thunders. I am Brahman. I never was born. Give you another example. Do you incarnate into a dream? Yes or no?
No.
Sure feels like it though, doesn't it? Who had a dream last night or this week? What did you dream about, Mike?
I was having a fight with somebody.
Okay, it seemed pretty real, didn't it?
It sure did.
And you had a dream body,
Yes.
and there was a dream world of people, places, and things outside.
Yes.
And inside, feelings and thoughts.
Thoughts.
And probably some struggle. You wanted to resolve this fight.
Yes.
And your mind was telling you the peace will come if either you win the fight or the fight's over or something like that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened when you woke up?
Actually, I was still bothered by it all a little bit.
But did it touch you?
No.
No. The fight was all in your mind.
The entire
It was
conversation.
created by the mind. So this jiva bhavana, this feeling that I'm a person, this ahankara, is this superimposition in the subtle intellect. It's like hypnotism. It's like a very long and very vivid dream. It's not evil, it's just painful. But it's not that I am this transmigrating soul, and if I go through this process, then I'm going to get lifted up and glued on to God, or some experience where I don't have to come back anymore. That's not what happens. It's like waking from a troublesome dream. Wow, that was vivid. I'm so glad it was just a dream. So also at the moment of realization, where did that person go? It was there just a moment ago, now gone. And the body, mind, intellect is seen the way you and I perhaps see our shadow. It's there. But I have no concern for it. Jim, why are you so sad? Oh, I went out today in the rain, and my shadow fell in the gutter. Nobody worries about it. So the scriptures teach the doctrine of reincarnation as a useful tool for those who are still in ignorance. But the highest teaching is the self is ajati, never born in the first place. It just seemed like it. Any thoughts on this?
Jim, I have a question.
Who's that?
It's Niranjan.
Hari Om, please go ahead.
Hey, so you mentioned there are two ways of looking at this. One is reincarnation, and that is the simpler way to look at it. And the second is that we were never born. All of this was just a dream. Is that
That's meaning it's about meditation. Yes.
okay? But shouldn't there be consequences to one's good and bad actions? It can't just be the way that we look at things, right? I can't just say that, hey, there won't be anything after this. It's just
Yes, there
there's
are.
nothing.
For example, we have what we call paroksha jnanam, which is indirect knowledge, which you get from the guru, which you get from the scripture. Then there's aparoksha jnanam, direct experience. And it's not just, oh, my opinion, the way I look at it. The yogi comes to this direct experience of the nothingness of the personal sense of self. Now, back to your question about consequences. So the physical body is like the glass, the subtle body is like the water in the glass, but the self is like the space in the glass. If the glass is soiled, what's it do to the space?
Nothing.
So, what you and I need to do is throughout our day, stop for a moment, introvert this attentive faculty, and see whether or not you are always witnessing consciousness. See, the problem is avidya. The problem is ignorance. And the antidote to ignorance is knowledge. Right now, through lack of attention, through lack of investigation, my mind is in the beginningless state of ignorance where I think I'm the body or the body plus the subtle body. And yoga says, well, see whether or not that's actually true. Don't believe me? Look. Koham, who am I? And Shankara, for example, we're have taken up Vivekachudamani on Thursday nights. The vast majority of the book is the discrimination between the self and the not self, the subject and all the objects. It's like a game. If it has a beginning and an end, if it's subject to change, if it has qualities or characteristics, if it's confined to the waking dream or deep sleep state, and most importantly, if it's an object of knowledge, it's not me. So, for example, those of us here in the room, look at the bowl on the coffee table. Can you all see the bowl on the coffee table? Are you a bowl? No. And you can do that with some object in your home, those of you on Zoom. Now let's go to the body. When you were a child, you had a little body. You went through adolescence, your body changed. You've become an adult, your body has changed again. But have not you known the changes in the body? Take a deep breath and feel the breath in the body. Are you not aware of the body? You are not the body. The body is not self-luminous. You are aware of it. Same things with feelings. Sometimes I feel joy, sorrow, anger, sadness, fear, etc. But whatever the feelings are, one feeling doesn't see another feeling. I know the feelings. I'm not my feelings. You go to the world of thoughts. Your head, do the problem 2 + 2. Remember what you had for lunch. Visualize a strawberry. That place is called your intellect. Thoughts go by like your hand in front of your face. But you are not your thoughts. You know your thoughts. In the same way you know the bowl on the table. Well, if you're not your body, and you're not your feeling, not your thoughts, slow the thoughts down. And in the space between the thoughts, who or what knows the thoughts and the space between the thoughts? Now it's tricky because it is like trying to see your eyes. It is like trying to taste your tongue. Nobody's ever seen their own eyes, yet you know you see. You will never see yourself as an object, but you're not unknown. Are you you? No. How do you know it? I don't know, I just know it. That's right. You are Swayambhu, self-evident. Swayam Jyoti, self-effulgent, self-luminous, self-shining. The self knows itself as the self. Always. So this is our practice. Atma Vichara, inquiry into the nature of the self. Now, in the subtle intellect is this function, the karta, the sense of agency, which makes me think. I am not Brahman, the ground of being. Instead, I'm a person and I'm all messed up. My life is terrible. Not only that, other people are doing bad things to me. All of that is based in spiritual ignorance. Now, this may be a lot to digest. If it's hard to understand, just put it on the shelf. Keep coming to satsang. Keep doing your own swadhyaya, your own study of scripture, and keep inquiring into the nature of yourself. This was Ramana Maharshi's principal technique. Koham, who am I? To whom did this perception occur? To me. Who am I? To whom did this thought occur? To me. Who am I? This turning the attention, endeavoring to notice the knower itself. Is that helpful at all?
Yeah, I want to ask another question, but I don't want to take too long.
No, go ahead.
So you talked about two things. One is the physical self, and the second is, I'm just trying to rephrase what you're saying because that is my understanding of what you're saying. Deepa might understand it better, but from what I understand, there is the physical self, and then there's the inner self. There, but isn't there also a physic a manifestation of a person's actions, which isn't your body, which isn't your kind of inner soul, but it is also something.
That's an excellent point. And I would not use the word physical self and inner self. I would say physical body, subtle body. But there actually is a body grosser than the physical body. It's called the body of my affairs. So you are right. The actions of this body affect the world, and there is action and reaction. The dharma of the body is karma. Dharma meaning the nature of a thing, the essence of a thing, without which it would not be the thing that it is. You know what you call a physical body without karma?
Corpse.
A corpse. You will always act. Restraint is impossible. You can't, eventually you're going to go to the bathroom. It's an action. Breathing is an action. Eating dinner is an action. And all our actions produce in the body of our affairs reactions. But that doesn't have to be problematic if you're not a jerk. That goes a long way. Just don't try not to be a jerk. A lot of that stuff straightens out. Is that useful?
Yep.
Now, even I'll have to make up a term here, Vyavahara Linga, the body of my interactions, does not affect the self. The self has no karma. What is the dharma of the self? Swabhava. My own being. What is the dharma of the self? Satchidananda. I'm not making this up. This is scriptural, although it is the truth.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yes.
Excellent questions.
Yeah.
And I say in class, I do not want any stupid questions. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, next verse.
Sahasra yuga paryanta maharyat brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam deho ratra vido janaha. Those people who know the length of the day of Brahma, which ends in 1,000 yugas, and the night, which also ends in 1,000 yugas, they know day and night.
So the metaphor here is when we put our attention into the study of any worldly event or any metaphysical thing, then we know that. So if you spend all your time studying software engineering, at the end of that study, you're a software engineer. If you go to medical school and you study medicine and anatomy and surgery and stuff like that, at the end of that, you're a doctor. But all of those are impermanent and will not deliver lasting joy. Now listen carefully. When we are young and we have ambitions and we have dreams, we can think, when I'm a millionaire, I will have arrived, I'll be happy. Oh, when I get married, that's what's going to do it. I find the right girl or the right boy. Oh, when I have a baby, it's all going to be okay. Or when I'm a world famous, fill in the blank. Now, as long as I haven't achieved it, I can hold that romantic fantasy out and it motivates me. But perhaps you've achieved some goals in life. True story. One of my students who's single was talking with another student who's married and asked, oh, is it better being married? It's just different. That's all really that ever happens. It's just different. You get the new car, oh yeah. And then 6 months later, it's my car. Only time I really get upset about it is when it gets broken or it gets hit. But it's just a car at that point. Can I talk about your condo for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Deepa buys this fabulous condo.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens? What happened to your deck and your floor?
The floor broke. It buckled.
You know, it's not better, it's just different. Right?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's your condo.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a house and the roof leaks. I'm not saying not to buy a house or get a condo, but don't expect something from the world that it cannot give. But there is something that can give us a joy that is always available, that is infinite. Doesn't cost anything, won't rot your liver. Have to look your best. And that's this Atmaramana, the yogi's capacity to revel in the sound, to taste this Brahmananda rasa, juice, this. That's what the Master Jesus meant when he said, "My kingdom is not of this world." Have a different playground. All right, next verse.
Let's do together. Avyakta vyaktaya sarva prabhavantya haragame ratyagame praliyante tatreva vyakta samyake bhutagrama sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratyagame vashak partha prabhavatya haragame. From the unmanifested, all the manifested proceed at the coming of the day. At the coming of night, they dissolve verily in that alone which is called the unmanifest. This same multiple of beings are being born again and again, and are dissolved into the unmanifest, hopelessly, O Partha, at the coming of night, and they come forth again at the coming of day.
So we have a technical term here called avyakta, which means unmanifest. Now again, Gita uses the language of Sankhya philosophy, where we have Purusha, spirit, Prakriti, the stuff out of which matter is made, usually translated as nature, but it's actually more like the stuff of universal mind. And from it, all things and beings come forth. Starting next month on the 4th, we're going to start Upanishad study. The first one we're going to take up is Isha, Ishavasya Upanishad. And the Mangalam, the salutation, the blessing at the beginning. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnam Eva Avashishyate. It's the one we usually chant at the end of class, but it's the opening salutation of Isha. What does it mean? Purnam Adaha. Adaha means that is full, Purna, fecund, not void, full of being. Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. It's Purnam, full. Purnam Idam. Idam is a technical term as well. Usually it's Sarvamidam. All this means this. Means the phenomenal world. That too is full. Full of what? Bhava. Being. Purnat Purnamudachyate. This is what this verse is saying. From the fullness of the fullness of this. as a Shiva form. I'm not going to do it tonight, but sometimes I'll bring out a Shiva Lingam, little one I have on the altar in the hallway. And those of you who've seen them, you see the lingam stone, which is like a penis. And it's in the yoni. What's a yoni?
Vagina.
It's a vagina. So Prakriti, the avyaktaha, the unmanifest, is the womb of creation. So the seed is planted in the womb, hidden, covered. So here, at the end of an age, everything merges back into the nothingness of the unmanifest. And at the beginning of another age, Big Bang, ta-da! It all starts over. I can't remember how long ago. I think I was in the 30s. Some physicist was able to come to the insight that you and me as human beings, all the elements that make up this body and this nervous system and this incredible world are the result of stars going supernova. That's how the heavy elements are created. We are stardust. And from the beginning, in the mind of Ishvara, the Lord, these particular bodies and the sofa and the chair and the table, all there in their potentiality, made up of the stuff of Prakriti. Now, again, if we do not look at it just as cosmology of Hinduism, but as a meditation verse, you and I go to sleep at night and everything in our day and all the desires and sorrows are merged into the avyakta, the unmanifest of deep sleep. Listen carefully. They are not gone. They are there in a seed-like form. So Daniel, what do you do for a living?
I do finance consulting for small businesses.
All right. And I'm a retired musician. When you go to sleep at night, I go to sleep at night, I don't wake up doing finance. You don't wake up being able to sing opera. So the impressions from the prior days are in a seed form. But if Daniel were falling asleep on the ground and Jim were asleep on the ground and a stranger came in and which one's the singer and which one's the finance guy, they couldn't tell. What's the nature of deep sleep? I know nothing. But the impressions are not gone. Lots that's implied in this. We'll go into that. I've changed my mind. So here we can talk about this day. Brahma can be the day of you and me. And the night that we're talking about is the results, the residuals of our impressions go into deep sleep. And like Mike's dream earlier, sometimes the undigested impressions of the waking state pop up in the dream state. But in deep sleep, everything is in the avyakta, unmanifest. So avyaktaha is same as prakriti. It's the same as the Anandamaya kosha for those of us who studied the 5 koshas. It's undifferentiated mind stuff. In Mandukya, who here studied Mandukya? There he calls it prajnanam ganam, prajnana ganam, a homogeneous mass of mind stuff. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
परस्तस्मातु भावोऽन्यो यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यः सर्वेषु भूतेषु नशयत्सु न विनश्यति. But verily there exists, higher than that unmanifest, another unmanifested, which is eternal, which is not destroyed when all beings are destroyed.
So, again, avyakta simply means unmanifest. The ordinary description of it is this stuff of mind. Use either mind with a capital M, like Prakriti, or mind meaning my chitta, my individual pool of mind stuff. But here Krishna says, but behind all that is another unmanifest, which is eternal, does not change. Let's talk about this. Right now, you're in the waking state. Who knows all the phenomena in your waking state? I do. If you've had a dream, whether it be a pleasant dream or a problematic, a nightmare dream, who knows the dream? I do. This one can be challenging for some people. Did any of you sleep soundly, have deep sleep last night? You did. Okay. Did I have deep sleep last night? You don't know. Why not?
Your sleep.
You weren't there. So, the rememberer and the experiencer must be the same entity. Did I have dinner tonight?
Guess so.
I
can only guess so.
But you do not know.
No.
Why?
I wasn't there.
You weren't there. But did you sleep soundly?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you're not thinking during deep sleep. You wake up in the morning and your experience is, oh, I slept so soundly. I don't remember a thing. I didn't wake up through the whole night. Let me give you another example. When you close your eyes, you are not blind. You are seeing the back of your eyelids, which occludes your vision of the world. You were blind, whether your eyes were open or shut, you couldn't see. Here's the self, eternally shining as awareness. Here is the mind, waking state, aware of the world outside. Dream state, aware of the subtle world, folded up in deep sleep. Waking state, dream state, deep sleep. Watch carefully. Samadhi. Oh my gosh, there's nobody there. So in these scriptures, when they say the self of the person of wisdom never sleeps, oh golly, Swamiji never sleeps. The poor man is awake all night. No, he didn't sleep much. He only slept 4 hours a night. But what it means is the self never sleeps. The self witnesses the sleeping mind, the waking mind, the dreaming mind. And what is the nature of that self? It has no qualities. Nirgunam, without qualities. Nirupam, without any form. Nirmalam, without any dirt to taint. Achalam, it never moves. Kutastha, it stands established and still like a mountain. Achintyam, unthinkable. Avyapadesham, we can't even really talk about. Never known as an object, yet always known. When are you ever not you? Did you have a bad day today? Oh, yes. Did you know your misery? Yes, I knew it. Did you exist? Yes, I existed. What was your existence? Miserable. Who knew it? I did. I am, I shine, even in the midst of my deepest ignorance. I am. This is this unmanifest, which is beyond even the unmanifest of mind stuff. So in Mandukya, the mind stuff is called Prajnana Ghanam. The self is Vijnana Ghanam. A homogeneous mass of pure awareness. Don't believe me. In a quiet mind, notice the knower. Who are you? Next verse.
Avyaktokshara ityukta astamahu param gatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That which is called the unmanifest and the imperishable, that, they say, is the highest goal. They who reach it never again return. That is my highest abode or state.
So again, language can only point. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go to this highest state. I'm going to go to Brahman. That's like next to Emeryville before you get to the next town. Or some Buddhists who will think, oh, I can't wait till I get enlightened, and then I will go to Nirvana. It's a place up in the sky. What shifts is my sense of identity. True story. I was raised as a Christian. And when I was a teenager, my mother said, did you know that your father's family is Jewish? I know this. Yes, it's true. He converted to Christianity, kind of. All my relatives back in New York, father's family is Jewish. I'm half Jewish. Did 23andMe, and I'm only 40% Ashkenazi Jew. Where that other 10% came from. But I, as a physical body, I didn't change a bit. But it sure explained a whole lot. I had so many Jewish friends in school. There were common points of culture that even though it was a big secret in my family, my father had no other culture to pass on but the culture he grew up with. We had dinner every night with candles on a table with a tablecloth. We prayed before every meal. All sorts of values. Now again, my being as a person didn't change, but my understanding of who I was changed dramatically. So also in the state of ignorance, you and I think I'm my body, or maybe I think I'm the transmigrating soul, and I, the individual, need to go someplace called moksha or nirvana or swarga, heaven. But what Krishna is saying here is no, what really happens. Find that you've always been proud to be. So self-realization gives us existential freedom. So much of my fear and anxiety is rooted in the sense that I need to protect self. I need to secure self. I need to defend self. Why are you building a tent? Don't you know you've got to protect space? It's crazy. Another thing it gives us is we finally find out where joy really is, where happiness really is. What I'm looking for is my own self nature. It's the striving, it's the jonesing, it's the struggle, it's the karma that is so painful. What's it feel like to want stuff you don't have? It sucks. Yoga says there's just no other suffering. And I get a momentary respite from it when I satisfy a desire. Another one comes up. It's crazy. I like to use the example of the person who's hitting themselves on the head with a hammer. That's like you and me. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. I got what I wanted. Now I think I'm going to hit myself on the head again. Why are you doing that? Because it feels so good when I stop. That's what we do. Hammer down. Abhyasa vairagyacha. Practice and intense, thoughtful renunciation that's rooted in insight. All right. I think this is a good place to stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.